And welcome back to the Microcenter podcast, roundtable, discussion table, everything table. We have a new table here, actually. It's no longer a round table, it's a rectangle table. But today we're going to talk everything tech, news, and Microcenter. First and foremost, we just got back not too long ago from Santa Clara.
That was a heck of a trip.
Yeah.
Fully exhausted, but in the absolute best way possible.
Yeah, it was, well, I mean, the 3-hour time difference definitely doesn't help.
Yeah, and then the red eye at like 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. at night. Yeah, it was...
That was a long flight.
That was a long flight.
So Santa Clara opened, and we've done a lot of videos about that.
A lot, yeah.
We did the store tour. iFixit came by, which was a lot of fun. That video just went live not that long ago. They came in because they wanted a new PC for their video editing suite, so we built them a new PC, and they got it fully decked out. Grand opening was nuts.
Oh, yeah.
It was the most insane grand opening I've ever been to.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was huge.
So Miami was pretty big. Charlotte was big. Indy was also pretty big, but this was like double all of those stores.
Yeah.
So to everyone who came, first of all, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good time. I hope you got what you needed. I know the lines were long because, there was a lot of people. Early access. How big was that line?
Which one?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
It wrapped around itself.
Yeah.
Like it was so long, it literally wrapped around itself. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And that it was a big building.
Oh, yeah. It was a massive building.
Yeah.
And yet it's still, like, we just had so many people so excited to see us back in the Santa Clara Bay Area after, I think, 12 years was when our last store in there closed down.
Right.
Like, people were just there and they were excited.
Back and bigger than ever.
Even for small things. I mean, one of our earliest interactions was someone who came there to pick up a ream of paper and a 6-foot Ethernet cable.
Yeah, I still don't understand why they waited in line for 2 hours.
That's my favorite story. Someone actually waited
Yeah.
the whole,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole thing. Ethernet, 6-foot Ethernet, right?
Yep.
Which is
Yeah.
crucial. I mean,
Yeah.
if you got to run from your router to your modem, which are right next to each other, and a ream of paper. And it was 99 cents for that ream of paper. So that's a good deal.
I mean,
It was a
listen,
good deal.
2 hours for a solid deal like that. I'm not. Let's say what, like $1, $2, $3.
No judgment.
Yeah.
500 sheets in a ream, 99 cents. So if you think about that, like that's a fantastic deal.
Yeah.
That's like a quarter of a penny a sheet or something like that. Like at that point, you're just printing money.
Well, don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's illegal. Your printers cannot do that, FYI. That's a real thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, all commercial printers cannot print a dollar bill. Because I tried that when I was like 12, when we had like an old like Epson scanner printer, and I was like, let me print $1 and see what happens, and it didn't work.
Now, do you mean 12 or 12 hours ago?
12 hours ago. Last night, I was trying...
There it is. There it is.
Fun fact, you also can't open them in Photoshop. If you have like a close-up picture of $1, because I was trying to make a meme dollar
really?
at one point. I was just going to Photoshop like George Washington's face or something. And it was like, hey, no, you're not allowed to open that.
Huh.
That's so funny.
Fascinating. Yeah.
That was before AI. I don't know how they figured out how to
How
do
did we
that.
get to printing dollars? Anyway, I don't know how we got here. But the point being is that Santa Clara, crazy busy, crazy good, by the way. So I think I saw the numbers for foot traffic for early access, which was that Wednesday. Mm-hmm. There was 5,000 people, something in that range.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Grand opening, 6,000 people.
That's a lot of people for our stores. Like, that's a lot of people, period. But, like,
Yeah.
holy cow, that's a lot of
6,000 people for grand opening, roughly. I mean, that was the rough estimate. I think they have like a thing that like counts the... But then people are coming in and out, so like, I don't know.
Probably counted me like 20 times just
We
walking
walked in and out 20.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
we're like
quite
getting
a bit.
shots outside, getting shots inside, like getting footage and stuff, like
Grabbing cards, getting lunch, everything,
20 different coffee runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we pumped those numbers up unofficially. But I mean, either way, it was a good crowd. There was a guy who camped out for grand opening
Yeah.
while the store was open.
Yep.
Yeah. It was awesome. He was just sitting next to the open store,
Yeah, like literally sitting there next to the open store.
twiddling his thumbs.
We went and we talked with him. He was really, really cool. What was his name? Dave, right?
I
Was
think
it
so,
David?
yeah.
So shout out to you. We gave him a free Microcenter t-shirt, which
Yep.
you can only get by...
Build showcase micro.center/builds. If you built a PC, go over there and submit it. It's you might show up on our social medias. I can't talk apparently.
It's okay. But submit to the build showcase, or if you're the first in line for grand opening, I guess you get a free T-shirt as well.
We have some exceptions.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
exceptions
yeah.
to the rules.
They're hard to get, importantly.
That was so wild, though. Like, a bunch of people camped out for the grand opening, and they all showed up, and the line wrapped around the building. So we hired a drone operator to come, who filmed footage of the line, because we were far enough from the airport, and he was like
Yeah.
a licensed operator. He had on like the vest, like
Yeah.
the reflective vest. It even said drone operator on the back. I didn't know that they had specialty ones.
I think he probably bought that.
Yeah.
I used to be licensed to fly a drone, and I've never got one of those.
it felt fancy.
Yeah.
People were into it, like taking pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some cool drone footage. We got a shot of the Microcenter store with the Apple headquarters in the background.
Oh,
Like that,
I didn't even see that one.
that's how high up he went. Because what's the ceiling? 400?
Technically, the ceiling, at least when I had my license, things could have changed. The FAA is complicated. But the ceiling is 400 feet below the cloud ceiling. So if the cloud ceiling is 800 feet, then 400 feet.
The ceiling is the thing above our heads, guys. I
Yeah,
don't
right.
really know what we're talking about here.
Where the clouds are, altitude-wise.
Oh, okay.
So if the clouds are at 800 feet, 400 feet. If the clouds are at...
So like AWS, and then you can fly.
Well, I mean, I think 400 is 400 over any structure is the max. But if the clouds are, say, at 600 feet, you have to be 400 feet below that. So 200 feet is your limit.
Boy, okay, so I see why there's a license for this. 'Cause
And that's the easy part.
and I know you have to like memorize maps and stuff. But
Yeah.
speaking of tall structures, and I think it's the biggest comment we got. Yes, there are apartments above the Santa Clara location. There's houses up there, and it's just a mixed use commercial residential like area.
They're really cool looking, though. Like,
Yeah.
just looming over the store. Like, they give it a really cool vibe.
I'm still not 100% sure how they get in them.
Yeah.
So on the drone, I saw on the drone footage as they went by around the corner, because the line went around the block. There's an entrance to like drive in. There's a parking garage behind the Microcenter, and then there's a whole gated community above it of all those condos, and they have like a courtyard in the middle, right above it. I don't think there's a pool or anything, but there's like a courtyard and like all these other things. And you could see it from the drone view, which is kind of cool. I'm actually going to check Zillow right now to see how much would it cost to live above a Microcenter.
A rare opportunity. This is our only store that you could do that in, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't
Also,
think...
you have to take into account it's not just the rent; it's how often you're going to be at Microcenter, and are you strong enough to not buy things?
That's actually very true. Yeah.
Well, I mean, think of it this way. We have all the snacks and stuff. So, like, you can come down for all your favorite snacks, you know,
Yeah.
Haichu and energy drinks
You
and
get some
everything.
stroop waffle.
Get some stroop waffle, which we have for some reason.
And then not
'cause it's
sleep that entire
delicious.
night.
Well, that's okay, because you'll be gaming all night anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found them. So they're... No, none of them are for sale. Sadly, none of the houses above the Microcenter Santa Clara are not for sale right now. But they are going for a hefty price tag, which I won't say here. You can just Google it yourself. But oh my goodness. So anyway, yes, there are houses above a Microcenter. People keep asking if like we own the houses. No, we do not own the houses. Although that would be kind of fun, right? If we all just lived above the store. Whenever we need something, just go downstairs.
Again, I think we'd run into the same problem that Jacob was already
Yeah.
talking about, which is to say, we're just going to spend too much money there. I worked at the Bethel store, as I've talked about previously,
Right.
and definitely spent way, way, way too much money there, especially while I was on a college student budget. It's dangerous.
It's the perks of working at Microcenter. Employee discounts. But I will say one last thing about the Santa Clara location. There's one thing right next to the Santa Clara store that we never got to try, and that's the ramen shop.
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah.
Same. Absolutely same.
I can't believe how busy they were.
Yeah, all the time.
They were busier than us.
Yeah.
Like they had a perpetual line for the ramen shop.
Didn't they have like weird hours too? It was like
Yeah, because they were like
noon to 3.
it was like noon to 3, and then they closed, and they're open at like 5 or 6 until like 10 or something.
Yeah.
But then there was always a line. There was people showing up at like 10 in the morning for ramen.
Oh, yeah.
And like lining up, and I was like, this is nuts.
However, shout out to that burrito place like next door to
Oh,
the ramen
yeah.
place, which
Yeah, the
was
burrito place
real
is
The
bomb.
burrito place is really
Was
good.
it Freedom Burritos?
Freedom burrito. I haven't had Mexican food that good in a long time.
That was
It
real.
was
Yeah, we
really
went there,
good.
I think, like 2 or 3 times. And that's where we bumped into the guy. There's one of the guys who came to early access.
yeah.
he was wearing a microcenter t-shirt
Yeah.
that you can only get if you worked at a microcenter, and he got it because his buddy worked at, what was it, here in Columbus,
Yeah,
right?
he had a buddy who worked at home office years ago because he's originally from Columbus.
Right.
And then he moved out there and took the shirt.
I mean, more power to you. That's the best day to wear it, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy too, because like I remember seeing him walk in. I'm like, I've never seen that shirt before. Like, where do we get one? He's like, oh yeah, I got it from you guys. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
we need to bring those back.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you can tell it was like screen printed too. So I want to figure out where those shirts came from for like future shirts.
It was a good shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More shirts to come. We're talking about shirts. Don't worry.
We like shirts.
But we will say that Santa Clara was awesome. You can definitely check out all the videos that we posted, the store tour. There's more influencers that are going to be coming in the near future as well. I know we got a couple of big guys coming. So stay tuned for that. But there's one other experience from Santa Clara that I think someone had that was pretty unique.
Yeah.
More unique than most.
I'm going to assume you're talking about me here, and not. I don't. Jacob, what'd you do?
I mostly edited photos and graphic design stuff.
Well,
That
not
is
many
unique.
people can say that either. Like sitting inside Microcenter Santa Clara editing things. But yes, obviously, we've already posted the short. The article is live for it as well, and you can see it sitting here. I brought a Game Boy camera with me to Santa Clara. Why? I don't really know initially is kind of the thing. I remember I bought this ages ago when I got my analog pocket right here, which I can talk a little about in a second. And immediately went, oh, I should get a Game Boy camera because it's this goofy piece of tech from 1998 that I just really want to play with, see how it looks, figuring it would be something I'd play with once at most and then just never touch again. And so when we were going to Santa Clara, I'm like, you know what? If there was ever a time to actually try and break this out and see how it works, it's now.
Right.
So we got up. We walked up to the store. That image that you can see on our post on the website as well as on the short is the actual first image I took with my Game Boy camera in Santa Clara. And then I looked at it and went, oh, hang on. This is actually really, really cool. And I started to show you guys, specifically like the video and camera people, and y'all immediately were just like, no. Keep doing that. Keep taking pictures. Keep seeing what happens. See what you can find with it. And I got some really cool stuff just across the board on this one, including, I'm going to say it, no one else has pictures of the 5090 DAB edition in
that's right.
a Game Boy camera quality at this point. Like,
Yeah, that was really cool.
I can't imagine who else would have had that opportunity.
I think you've had the most...
Or desire.
Yeah. Or desire. Yeah.
That is fair. You do have to be
It
a
was
little
worth it.
weird.
That is the most unique experience, I think, ever. Being able to photograph that 5090 with a Game Boy camera. I think you're the only person on the planet who has done that exact thing.
Yeah.
Like, you ever seen like memes on like TikTok or Instagram where it's like, I'm doing something for the first time in human history, and they're like boiling like soldiers in like a microwave. Like, I don't know, they're trying to like put all these things to be like, it's the most random concoction that no one has ever done before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most random concoction that you've come up with.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, but it did end up like coming out really, really nice across the board. Is the other element to this, and it was fascinating to try and figure out how to get these things from a Game Boy camera in the year of our Lord 2025 onto a platform where it's actually readable and usable by us.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about a little bit about that. But the big thing that we started off with was actually just videotaping my analog pocket,
Right.
because this is an absolutely gorgeous. If you're unfamiliar with Analog Pocket, it came out a couple of years ago. It uses OpenFPGA software. I don't know enough to fully explain what that means, but basically it means that you can natively run Game Boy cartridges on this. So like anything from, say you've got your old Pokemon Pinball for the Game Boy Color, all the way up to like, oh, I'm playing, Rayman Legends or whatever. I don't think it was Legends that was on the Game Boy Advance, but you get the point.
Right.
So on this screen, it's a massive like 1400 by something else screen. And I've seen a lot of comments being like, it looks so much better on this screen than when it does actually print up.
I wonder why.
I was gonna say, it reduces it from a 1400 megapixel screen to a literally 112 by 128 resolution for the Game Boy camera. Which thankfully this does let me boost a little bit, and I can talk a little bit about how we actually got off, because this is the Epilogue. Oh, what do they call it? I apologize. Give me half a second. It is the Epilogue GB operator, which operates fairly similar to how the Pocket does in that it reads Game Boy games, and you can actually play them directly from here. Like if I plug this in, I could take a picture right from it simply by opening the software.
Oh, and you can do it right in your laptop.
Absolutely. And
So, wait, I just want to comment really quickly. I looked it up. So 128 by 112 pixels, that is approximately 0.014 megapixels. FYI.
So I misspoke when I said megapixel. It is just pixels.
It's micropixels at that point.
Yeah.
But it is a CMOS sensor, by the way. 2-bit system, 4 shades of gray.
Hey.
So just
That's
some
all you need.
camera specs for you camera guys out there.
Yeah.
I am trying to figure out what the select button is on this, because enter seems to be the backspace key. What are all these settings? I'm finding so many settings I didn't know I had. I can link cable, edit.
We discovered all of these like random hidden features of the Game Boy camera while we were on this trip.
Yeah.
Like it has like filter effects, like the old, or when you do a photo booth on a Mac computer, like how it could do mirror images and things like that. It had that built in.
I didn't realize that.
It has all this random like secret functionality built in. And we have all of these kind of like fun devices that can run old hardware like this. Like we have an old like NES dock and like SNES
yeah.
dock.
Oh, yeah.
Like we sell a lot of like things for this. I think we've sold like a device like the one that you have.
We actually did have the Epilogue GB operator. It is still on our website. I don't know that we're going to be getting more in anytime soon, but we have at least at one point actually had this exact thing.
It's one of those things that kind of comes and goes.
Yeah.
Is that an FPGA in that? Is that how it's playing it?
I don't know as far as on the Epilogue goes. On the analog, yes,
Okay.
obviously. And it doesn't seem to actually want to take a picture this way, so I'm just going to take a picture normally, and we can show it off. So, Jacob, congratulations. You're going to be our test for today.
You're going to be our model.
It will
I'm
take me
fine
a
with
second
it.
to get this set up, however, because, oh my god, did I forget how slow Game Boy camera everything is, if I'm being
Game Boy,
honest.
everything was slow.
Yeah, Game Boys were slow.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite thing to do is to... I'll let you get your photo in.
I'm going to let him keep holding this pose because I'm not ready yet, but I'm just going to keep him
let him
going.
wait forever.
But then why are you aiming it at me?
He's
Because
just
I
gonna
want to see
do it.
how long I can get you to hold the pose.
So I do want to say, on the topic of that gold 5090, so that was on display in Santa Clara. I think they are taking it out tomorrow as
is
of
it
the time of filming.
tomorrow?
I think it's like tomorrow or maybe Saturday.
Okay.
Because I think the auction is ending. So all the Game Boy camera loads. So the ROG Astral Dahab, I said Dahab, but I think it's pronounced Dab.
Like-
I don't know if I pronounced it right.
I'm honestly, I'm going to butcher it if I even try.
Yeah, so it's a gold-plated, 5090. It has 6.5 grams of pure gold. Wow, the highest bid. So it's a charity auction. They're giving away the money for charity.
Yeah.
I think it says what charity it is on the website. The highest bid for that gold 5090, which Linus did a video about it, and I think he paid about like $8,000 for it, something in that ballpark. The highest bid right now is $20,170
Holy
Wow.
cow.
for a golden 5090. So there's 1 day and 8 hours left on that auction. So we'll see what the final price is going to be on that. But it was signed by Jensen Huang.
Yeah. That signature put a little bit of a price boost on there.
Yeah, I think so. And that was a fun kind of thing. Walking through the store with that was like so nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah.
That was a very unique and interesting experience. I didn't realize there was a crowd behind me.
Oh, yeah.
And then someone was like, "Tell us what it is." And I'm like, "Okay, this is the thing." Like there's like so many people.
It was cool, like, following behind you and just watching this mass of people, like, just follow this golden GPU. You had such a crowd with you.
That was
You
so
filmed
random.
that on the Game Boy.
I did, yeah.
Right.
There's a on the camera on.
Yeah. When I was filming you, filming him.
Oh, yeah. It was, yeah.
So you have this image of the gold 5090, right? So
Yeah.
if they're auctioning off the gold 5090 for $20,000, how much to auction off a picture on a Game Boy camera of the gold 5090?
That
Now, remember,
depends. Is
this-
it printed on the Game Boy printer?
Oh, if we could pull that one off and frame it, I mean,
Ooh.
it's zero.
Little stamp-sized image in the background of the studio.
Just put it in a little frame that we could 3D print. No, we'll try to put it up for auction or something, right? We'll see how much.
There you go.
I mean, look, it's 0.014 megapixels, so that we can at least get a fraction of a cent, which is the same price that lady paid for a piece of paper and that 99-cent ream.
We're all tying it back together. Look at that.
Bringing it home.
Is the Game Boy camera working?
Yes, I got it set up. I have it. I already took a picture of Jacob. I got it all exported through Epilogue. The one thing that's really cool about the Epilogue playback software is that you can scale it, which does it. Scaling it is a bit of a double-edged sword because on one hand, it does mean that you can see it bigger and not at 112 pixels, so it's that big on your screen. But it does also kind of make it a blurry mess.
I could see in your article, like, there's some pixels.
I am recording the screen, so I'm just going to have this on here. But I've got Jacob. This is the base. You can see how tiny it is, but you can very clearly tell that I am looking at Jacob for this. Yeah, I can even give you a little bit of a hint. Yeah, you can see him.
It's a little Jacob. It's kind of cool because the background has the blocks, so it even makes you look like you're in a Game Boy Pixel world.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part.
That kind of works out.
But then you bump it up to 5x, and you start to lose a little bit. It starts to get a little bit blockier, a little bit extra. And then 10x, it kind of all loses. It's still Jacob, obviously.
Right.
But without that context, like of seeing the past two images, you might be a little bit more like, what exactly am I supposed to be looking at here? Because the answer is, I don't know anymore.
It loses all meaning. All it does is takes that one pixel and it just multiplies it by like, what, 5 and 10?
Yep, that's all it does.
So one gray pixel becomes one bigger gray pixel. I like that picture of you over your shoulder taking the picture of the 5090.
All him.
Yeah.
Incredible shot.
Yeah. While I was shooting him using that, I kept thinking about that scene from Tropic Thunder where he's going, I'm the dude playing the dude.
Yeah. That was you. You're the guy filming the guy, filming another guy.
Filming another guy.
Oh wait, did our potion battery run out? Oh no. This is one of our new things that we got in. It's actually supposed to light up and spin. I think we left it on overnight.
I talked about those actually in an article earlier this year.
Yeah.
Just kind of diving a little bit into stuff that is really nice for board gaming actually. And I included those just because they do add a nice little bit of atmosphere, especially if you're tabletop gaming.
Right.
It's a nice.
They look cool.
They
nice
do.
Glitter
Oh
effect.
yeah, and they've got a purple one, which is the one I have at home, as well as the green one.
Right.
They're neat little lights.
I like this. So yeah, we were doing some stuff about D&D the other day. So we had this in the studio on display, and I think we just forgot to turn it off. I guess those AAA batteries don't last forever.
I mean,
because there's a fan inside that like makes it swirl.
That'll do it. Yeah.
What's these two prongs here on the bottom? Do you think?
I'm not sure.
Is that for power or is that for something else?
I mean, I can find out pretty quick. Maybe not on camera, but
we'll find a way to hardwire this. We'll modify our.
I can
goblet.
absolutely do that. Please let me do that.
So we talked a little bit about Nintendo stuff, right? So Nintendo's been trending lately for obvious reasons because the Game Boy camera is. Game Boy camera is just the best camera out there, clearly.
Yeah, obviously. That's very recent news.
That is the only reason why they've been trending. Oh, wait. Is that a Steam Deck?
Yeah, let's call it that. It's certainly not the Nintendo Switch 2, of which I did manage to get my hands on one on launch day, actually. I got lucky enough to get one of the emails from Nintendo to be like, hey, you should pick up a Nintendo Switch 2. And I said, okay, yeah, why not? I like tech. That's kind of the big thing is I really like weird handheld tech. In case it's not obvious, handheld tech and I have a relationship. So obviously when they announced the Switch 2, I had to pick it up. I had to play around with it. And having played around with it for a little bit, it's pretty nice.
Can I see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't actually seen it for myself. Ooh.
Pass it around, ask questions, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The magnets are really nice, actually holding the Joy-Cons on. I like them a lot more than the old system. Yeah, if you pull those...
so it's not like a slide-on thing, it just pops in?
Yeah, you push on that, and it pulls it away from the magnet so the Joy-Con just pops off. And I think it feels better.
Wow. Okay.
At least so far, because the one thing I didn't like about the original Switch is that it felt like you'd kind of like... It would get a little bit wiggly in the way that the slides were.
I was always afraid I was going to break it.
Yeah.
This feels dense.
It does. It's still not as heavy as the Steam Deck for sure.
Like it's light, but it feels denser than I would.
Oh yeah.
I really like the build quality on this. Like this feels solid. This feels really good.
I'm thrilled that they put a USB-C on the top of it so I can play it without having to have it weirdly balanced on my chest because I have a cable sticking out of it now.
So I see the vent here. Can I ask you, how good does the vent smell? Does
Turn
it
it
smell,
on, find out.
Does it smell good?
You can find out. We can do a live sniff test.
All right, live sniff test. All right, Mario Kart World. Sure, why not? Press the same button 3 times. Okay, sure. Smells fresh.
Smells fresh.
Factory fresh.
Fresh out of the box.
I don't understand you guys.
It's a thing. It's a thing with you wouldn't understand.
Do you? All right, I'm gonna put myself on blast, and thankfully this isn't a podcast or anything like that where it be publicly posted. But have you licked a Switch cart?
No, but I've heard they're disgusting. I've heard they're absolutely disgusting.
Because Nintendo
They put a thing on it.
intentionally used chemicals that make them taste bad, so that kids don't eat them.
Yeah,
Which
it's a
of
thing.
course means that if you're stupid like me, the first thing you do is
I'm gonna try it.
I have to test this for myself. Well, first of all, it's called a bittering agent.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a bittering agent that they put on there. I'm curious, what like, could you describe the flavor profile? By the way, like, I'm just driving. Is this open world?
Yeah.
Mario Kart? Like,
What?
You could just drive around?
Yeah, Mario Kart World. There's a free roam mode to it that is fully open world. There's a bunch of like stuff on the in the world to find, little mini games, little challenges, little stuff you can dig up.
That's super cool.
It is the world part. I will say is not as strong as the racing. Like it's not gonna be your new Mario Odyssey. I think at this one you're probably gonna wait for the new Donkey Kong to come out for that, which I am very excited about. But yeah, the base game does have an open world element to it. The thing that I was always comparing it to in my mind until I played it was Burnout Paradise.
Oh, I remember that. Okay, yeah.
I love Burnout Paradise, one of my all-time favorite games. It doesn't quite hit that level, unfortunately, but it is still very cool, and I have spent many hours just kind of casually driving around a little bit.
I remember my cousin had a PS2, so I would go to his house on the weekends to hang out, and Midnight Club. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
It was a racing game, but they had an open world of London and New York. And all you do is just drive around. Like there's nothing to do. You just drive around. But like that in of itself was so much fun.
I love games. Not Gran Turismo. I mean, yes, Gran Turismo, but Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Is the game that I have genuinely picked up, and I pretty much was like, all right, this is cool. I like what is available here. I'm instead just gonna drive around for a while and just enjoy the cars and like see how I feel about all of it. And so that's most of the time that I have in Grand Theft Auto 5 is me just looking at the scenery as I drive along the coast, and it's great.
I always try to do a playthrough every once in a while with like Grand Theft Auto or like Cyberpunk, where it's like I try to be an upstanding citizen. Where it's like I'm gonna drive by the rules and I'm gonna do stuff like normal, and then it just always goes awry. Like it never ends well.
You get bored. The cars aren't meant to go that slow, and you're like, I hit the gas a little too, and there was a pedestrian there, but we'll deal with that later.
See, that's one of my complaints about Assassin's Creed is anytime you accidentally kill somebody you shouldn't, it's just like, hey, you wouldn't do that if you were a good guy. And I'm like, you don't know me. Don't tell me what to do.
Oh man, they have the new Assassin's Creed now, right?
I haven't
Creed
played
Shadows.
it. I haven't played it yet, but it's in Japan.
So we picked it up. We haven't tried it yet because that's one of the RTX mandatory games.
I don't know about mandatory. I think it's mandatory. That sounds right, but I can't say with absolute certainty. I'm gonna check my microcenter news article about what you need to play Assassin's Creed Shadows.
That's the thing. Okay, it does not require RTX. I thought it did, because I know that there is the mandatory like RTX in some of the games. That's why when you said Assassin's Creed, that like went off in my head.
Yeah,
because that's something we're seeing a lot of.
Oh yeah.
Minimum specs for it are the GTX 1070, which is below that. That is considered selective ray tracing.
Got it.
You'll see about 1080p with 30 FPS is what they're saying at this point. So you'll get some okay performance on it. But I think if you do want anything, you do want an RTX card.
1080p at 30 FPS. So that's like Steam Deck. Like,
Yeah.
performance right there.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Speaking of handhelds, you saw the announcement for Xbox, right?
Yeah, they're getting they're working with Asus.
Yeah, it's that ROG
Ally X box edition, I
yeah.
think.
So one of them has a Z2 Extreme chip. The Legion Go that we were using, that one had the Z1, and that one's really, really good.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to see how this one performs. But the idea of a Xbox/gaming focused version of Windows.
Oh yeah, from what I've seen of how they're actually letting the Xbox division change certain parts of Windows to make it more efficient for gaming,
Right.
I'm really excited about this.
Right.
Because I think it's going to really help with like battery life when you're on the go for gaming. Because in my experience, that's one of the reasons I really like the Steam Deck is the battery life is so good.
It's really, really good. But I'm very curious to see, what is handheld and like kind of mobile gaming going to look like in the next couple of years. I mean, obviously, Switch 2 is out, and they went with NVIDIA. I forget what the specs are inside of that, but like they're pretty good for what they are. And
Yeah.
Nintendo games have always been kind of like sort of easily optimized
I've
for
seen
the hardware.
a lot of people talking, just to very quickly go off topic on that, because I can talk about, I've established at this point that I can talk about Nintendo hardware at length.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo has always been really good about, or let me phrase that. Nintendo basically stepped out of the graphics war that has been going on since about the Wii era, where they kind of just went, nah, we're going to do our own thing. And, they got the Wii, which was like depending on what metric you use, one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Like, it is one of the best-selling consoles of all time, obviously. But from there, they kind of just went, all right, we don't really need to worry about graphics. They tried the Wii U, which was a little bit more graphically intense. It flopped for a number of reasons. It's still a good console. I will defend the Wii U specifically for Nintendo Land, and I'm just getting on that soap. I still have my Wii U hooked up.
I remember my friend had a Wii U, and he brought it over. We played Smash, and I had the big one, like the big proto Switch is what it was.
Yeah.
With the Wii U, and I remember playing on that and just thinking, what is this? Like, what?
This
makes more sense to me.
And honestly feels kind of like the logical conclusion of the Wii U, because the Wii U in its concept was really fascinating. Nintendo Land was a really interesting asynchronous multiplayer game. And so like there's games on that, like one person would just be hanging around with the thing, playing as Mario, running while everyone else is trying to find them. And like there's some really cool stuff where you can watch as Mario, everyone else doing
cut that part out, because we will get a copyright strike for those 5 notes that played from that. We will get a copyright strike. Mute that.
Absolutely true. But it was really cool. Like, it was just, the idea was asynchronous, so that one person could be on the couch and playing one thing while everyone else is dealing with a different thing. And like Nintendo Land was an incredible way of showcasing that. I was playing the Switch 2 with my partner, who also has a Switch 2. Please do not judge us too hard. And we were playing Mario Kart World and realizing that, like, I was playing on the TV while she was playing handheld on her own Switch. And I'm like, this is basically what Nintendo always wanted the Wii U to be.
Yeah.
And now with the addition of, like, game chat and everything, which I have not dug much into at this point, they're basically getting that. And it's kind of proving that, hey, the Wii U was a good console, I promise.
It only took him 10 years to nail it.
Yeah.
When did the Wii U come out?
2016 was when the Switch won. 2016, 17 was when the Switch came out.
It was like
2012. Because my buddy got it
2013.
freshman year of college for me, and that was my 2012. So
Wow.
Okay.
So Nintendo's obviously done some pretty impressive stuff with their handhelds. They've come a long way from the Wii U all the way up to where they are now. Steam, Valve and Steam Deck, they've done a lot. And then you've seen a lot of the handhelds that we have had at Microcenter with Lenovo, with MSI, with Zotac, the Zotac Zone. So there's some really cool stuff going on there. So seeing Windows sort of molded for mobile gaming, I think is pretty cool.
Very exciting.
And then the other cool thing is what's happening with SteamOS being able to work on devices that aren't a Steam Deck.
I think it's right now it's only AMD hardware, but I think that will change in the future just because it was easier for them to, because that's what the Steam Deck had. So is all AMD for graphics and everything.
Speaking of AMD hardware,
Ooh.
I have a surprise for you.
What do you got?
You don't even know what it is.
No, I can kind of read that.
I'm going to close my thing. Here, you might want to close your thing because you might want to make some space. So we are getting a new product at Micro Center very soon. You can expect this in July. This is GMK Tech.
Nuck box?
Oh, yes. Take a look inside.
Oh, that is awesome. Hang on, if I can get it out.
Yeah, and then Sean's got the Game Boy camera
Are we going to
ready
have to wait for it to boot again?
Yes, we are going to have to wait for it to boot again.
All right, well, I'm just going to wait then. No, I'm just Holy moly. That is some serious cooling for a mini PC.
I just got that in like right before we came in here, and I was like, well, we definitely have to showcase this. So this is obviously, an all-in-one unit. Like,
yeah,
this is a full-fledged PC.
Full-on PC.
The specs, though, if you look right on here.
I just see Radeon graphics and Radeon AI Max Plus. Is this that new...
The 395?
Yeah.
Let me double check. I want to make sure that I'm looking at the right one. Yes. So it's the GMK Tech, which has the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395. So that is basically an SoC. It has 128 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory.
Whoa!
Yes. So we've been testing it out, and you can game on that pretty well.
Yeah.
A lot of video content has been done about this chip, and people have been gaming on it. They did a bunch of demos when they announced this back at CES. People were playing Black Myth Wukong without a GPU, just on these integrated graphics.
Wow.
So, here, I'll clear some stuff out of the way for you. You can put it on the desk. So, something like this, right, that you can get at your local Micro Center coming very soon. When you talk about sort of mobile hardware and the Steam Deck, and if you turn the clock back a little bit, do you remember the Steam Box?
I have
I do
one.
remember the Steam Box.
You have a Steam Box?
No, I have a Steam Link.
Oh, you have the
okay,
Steam
I was
Link.
like, holy moly.
I always liked the idea of the Steam Box, but it just never...
It didn't materialize at that point.
The implementation just didn't seem like it worked.
Want to make one?
Well, basically, this is a Steam Box, because I think we might be able to get SteamOS to work on this.
We'll have to figure it out.
So we're going to have to get this set up. We're going to run some games on this. So we're going to do some videos on this guy, and I thought it'd be cool to just unveil it here. This thing is spec'd out. Like, this is absolutely spec'd out.
128 gigs. This one says it has 2 terabytes of SSD.
Yes, it's a 2 terabyte SSD. I'm trying to pull up the specs because I don't have the spec sheet for it yet. It's not in our system or anything, so I have to pull it from their site.
I'm also interested in the networking.
Quick aside, because I was too busy playing with, as my friend calls them, baby toys. Did you say there was a GPU in that, or
No, this is
There's no GPU.
integrated, but it
Oh.
can run.
It's basically an SoC.
Oh,
So
interesting.
everything is just one big old chip.
Okay.
So like CPU, GPU, it's all just integrated. They all share the memory pool, so it's 128 gigs. Think of Apple Mac Studio. Same concept. Same exact kind of thing. Where
It's like a unified memory.
yeah, it's a unified kind of like memory system. So it's all it's soldered on there. You can't change it, but at the same time, better latency, better speeds. I mean, it says here 8,000 megabytes per second for LPDDR5X.
Pretty fast. I don't think that's quite GDDR fast, but it's still pretty fast.
No, it's pretty speedy. It's got. I'm just looking at everything here. So it's got some intake fans. Oh, that's interesting. So 2 intake fans, I think, on this side, and then 1 big exhaust here. So it exhausts like out the side and the top.
Yeah, it comes out the back here too. There's a fan. You can see the fins.
USB 4 on the front and back. Get your display port. I don't know what it's rated for. That's interesting. You've got your SD card slot and a P mode switch.
Yeah, there's a P mode switch and there's a fan mode button on there.
So you could probably change the performance mode.
Ooh. How does it say how fast the Ethernet port is?
That's what I'm looking up right now. 2.5 gigabit.
Oh, that's still pretty fast. You can move some games across the network pretty quick.
2.5 gigabit, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4. I'm still pulling up everything in real time because literally they just handed this to me like an hour ago, and I thought it would be kind of fun to surprise Jacob.
I'm very excited.
HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 1.4. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean this is killer, man.
Yeah.
So, it's got the AI Max 395 or AI Max Plus 395, 16 cores, 32 threads, plus that 128 gigs of LPDDR5X memory. So I'm thinking we could do a couple of different things with this.
Yeah.
Gaming is going to be the big one, right? Gaming on this, like, what is that like? Without a GPU, and AI.
128 gigs is a lot to play with for a single model. I don't know what kind of like performance we're going to get out of mobile hardware, but you can load up a large model.
I mean, yeah, it'll fit there. I think it'll run pretty okay because it's the same kind of thing. It even says here, it literally says here for the NPU, by the way, because it says the NPU has 50 tops, but the overall processor performance is 126 tops. It's saying LM Studio AI performance 2.2x higher than NVIDIA RTX 4090 with a lower power consumption.
That
so
sounds interesting.
We got to put that to the test.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty cool. So I'm definitely thinking like gaming on it with Windows, gaming on it with Steam OS, if we can get it working.
I think we'll be all right.
Return of the Steam box. And then do some AI stuff. So I think there's some cool things. They even say here with the 128 gig and 2 terabyte combo, you could do DeepSeek R1, 32B, 70B, and it says Llama 109B will fit on there. I mean, we really have to like test it out for ourselves just to see. But I am very interested.
This seems like a really interesting little machine.
And I think this bodes well for sort of what the future of compute looks like in this form factor, because there's more things coming to Microcenter in this form factor that are going to be, I think, just as exciting.
Mobile hardware has gotten really powerful over the last couple of years. It's really exciting because this is a laptop chip, but using it in a desktop environment, I think it's definitely going to do well.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. So definitely keep an eye out when we do some videos about this guy. But Jacob, I think you have a new toy to play with.
Yeah, just don't worry about it. It's fine.
Just going to borrow it long term. Now, speaking of new toys.
Have I not talked about... You look at me like I haven't talked about enough of my new toys.
I think it's a topic that I think is more maybe in your realm, not so much in my realm, but I got to sit and talk with Nick and Chaylin about the new launch at Microcenter for Magic the Gathering. How much do you know about Magic the Gathering?
More than I would like to admit. I did spend probably 8 years of my life playing Magic pretty hardcore.
Okay.
I had decks. I still have my decks sitting at home, but I got out around Khans of Tarkir, which I know means nothing to either of you. But to anyone who plays Magic, you'll get what I mean by that. So I kind of fell off around there. No real reason for why I stopped playing. I just kind of was like, I am in college and I have a budget now, and can't spend all this money that I've been spending on Magic cards. But we do have them in store now, which is testing me.
Well, I mean, these are opened already. We already opened these because we did a whole video on this, but we have the new Final Fantasy Magic cards at Microcenter.
Yeah. And, that's on launch day too. We had them.
Yep, on launch day. So we're gonna have a lot of these available. These are already opened. We just had them there for fun.
Did you pull anything good?
I had to have Nick and Chaylin tell me if they were any good, but they got some good stuff.
Okay.
We thought we got a chocobo, but it was just labeled bird. So no rare chocobos in that pack. No, it looked like a chocobo, but it was just labeled bird, which is just the troll of the century. That's right there.
Was it a token card?
I don't know. You have to ask Chaylin.
I don't know why I was gonna say, I don't know why I'm asking you. I'm like, I could start.
You'd have to ask him because he would know better.
Yeah, I'm gonna choose not to reveal how much Magic I know and just quietly. Yeah, Magic. I've heard it's a fun card game. Too bad I've never played it. Ha ha.
Hey, fellow kids, you like Magic cards? But yeah, come by Microcenter because we're gonna have plenty of those available at MSRP. So that's the big deal, actually. I think it's limit 1 per day per customer for like
think
the
so,
bigger
yeah.
collector packs.
Yeah.
But you can come on by, pick those up. That's going to be really exciting.
Sorry, I'm staring at the magic sign behind you and trying to remember who I can name because I do know it's Vraska, Chandra, and Garrick. So actually, I did just reveal how much magic I know. Please do not bully me online.
What's the name of the cat?
Cat.
Oh.
Yeah, just like the bird's name.
Fibblethip, actually. It got turned into a cat. That's a joke, again, for magic nerds. Enjoy.
Yeah, so Nick gave me one of those. It was an extra one that was going to go to the stores. And I was like, oh, let me put it in the podcast room. So now I have this.
It looks really good behind you, actually.
Yeah, I
So-
like it up there. It's leaning on a motherboard right now. So that's what's holding it up. I'm going to mount it somewhere. There's a poster that he gave me, too. Do you want it? You can grab it from all the way over there.
Yeah, we just didn't have a frame yet.
Yeah, I have to put it up on the wall. But we've got this really sweet-looking poster here. There you go.
There we go.
That'll look pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the guy with the big sword and the yellow hair is Cloud.
Lightning, actually.
Really?
No, that's a joke. It's another Final Fantasy character.
So I was okay. So it just shows how much I know about Final Fantasy. I told the story to Nick, and he was dying because it's the truth. The year was, I don't know, 97, 98. When did Final Fantasy come out?
Which one? You're being way...
Final Fantasy 7.
Final Fantasy 7, I think, was around 97. I don't have an exact
Okay,
date.
Yeah.
so I remember it was that year because it was everywhere and everyone was playing it. It was a big deal. I had a PlayStation. I must have been like 8 at the time. I went to Blockbuster on a Friday, rented the game, 4-disc set or something, in the big box or whatever. Rented it on a Friday, brought it home, loaded it in my PlayStation. I've never played a Final Fantasy game in my life, right? Opening menu, opening cinematic, whatever it is that's like loading there. And then I have this vividly burned into my memory because this is probably a really traumatic event for me. The camera starts on some city and it sort of pans down to the beginning. There's like a train or something and it intros your character. And then the game freezes. The game just freezes.
Yeah, I assume your game specifically freezes.
My game specifically freezes. There was a big scratch on the disc. And I did everything I could to try. Like I was buffing it. Like I put rubbing alcohol. I did everything. I did every trick. I did not sleep that weekend trying to get that disc working and just on repeat, just go through the whole thing and did it and just never worked. And after that, I was just like, you know what? No. And I've never played a Final Fantasy. I have never, ever played a Final Fantasy game. That was my only...
What a payoff.
Yeah.
Oh.
I just never... After that, I was just like, I'm not even going to bother. And now they're on, like, Final Fantasy, I don't know, 20 or something?
16 came out this year, although that doesn't
16.
include all the spin-offs of the 14
Yeah, there's like
had a...
10-2.
Yeah, 10, 10-2. 10-2 is where Lightning's from, actually. Fun fact.
And there's, like, a MMO.
That's 14, although 14 has technically existed twice because a Realm Reborn was after the first version of it. This is, I don't...
It sounds like there's been 20. That's what you're telling me. It sounds like there's been 20 Final
This
Fantasies.
is a really cool story, though. I'm going to be very clear, despite the fact that I know a lot about it. I've played one Final Fantasy to completion. I'm not really a big Final Fantasy person in general, but 14, the MMO, is fascinating because the current one, everyone talks a lot about Final Fantasy 14 as a great MMO now. Like it's up there with World of Warcraft as like the MMO.
Right.
It's called a Realm Reborn because it actually is the second run they took at making Final Fantasy 14 an MMO. And the first one was utterly disastrous. In fact, it's called a Realm Reborn because the first version of Final Fantasy 14 they had literally ended with a meteor storm wiping out the entire planet. Canonically, 14 was destroyed and rebuilt from the ground up. Which I just think is really cool. And like players were watching this thing happen. Like there were people on the servers as they were literally being nuked from orbit.
Right. And that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
That's one way to relaunch an IP.
Yeah.
All I remember, you know what? I've never played the Final Fantasy games, but I will say the movie with Alec Baldwin and the ghosts. Do you remember that?
No.
Wait. You've never seen the Final Fantasy movie?
I don't...
Wait, really?
Which one? Hang on.
It
was like an animated thing,
What
wasn't
do you
it?
mean, which one? No, the movie, Final Fantasy. Like, there's a movie that has, and I'm assuming, because what I know about Final Fantasy, I don't even know if there's lore, but, like, it's not even connected to the games.
I think it's like
It was
there's a colon something after Final Fantasy.
Ghosts of the Spirits Within. That's what it was.
Okay, that is the page I'm on their Wikipedia.
You've never seen this movie?
No.
Oh, it's so good. So first of all, it's a fully CG movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
that tracks.
Made in the year 2001, and boy, does it look like it. It is an insane movie. But it has Alec Baldwin, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
Like it has Keith David's in it, James Woods, Donald Sutherland, Ving Rhames. Like I could just keep listing. It is an insane movie. I have seen this. Never played the games, but I've seen this movie. This movie's awesome. I'll stand by it. Like
I think I saw that when I was like 10 or 11. I didn't remember.
It's
anything.
a solid like early 2000s sci-fi B-ish movie.
Yeah.
This and what was the other one? Titan After Earth. Do you remember
I
that
was
one?
just gonna talk about Titan AE. I don't even know why, but
It's
it came
because
right
it's-
to my head.
That movie and this movie are kind of like in the same realm.
Really?
So
Okay.
I would say like they're very like they sort of overlap.
I loved Titan AE as a kid. The final scene where he tries to call Earth Bob has been stuck in my head for 20 years.
Well,
I have no idea if that movie even holds up.
I don't know. You have to watch it to find out.
All right, so double feature, microcenter podcast double feature. We do Final Fantasy and then we
yeah.
do Titan AE.
I'll
I'm
do a
good with that.
drive-in.
Yeah, all right, perfect.
I'm just gonna say spoilers for the Final Fantasy movie, because I don't know, whatever. The whole time,
24 years ago.
I think
25
you're
years.
okay.
spoiler alert. The whole time you think it's aliens. Nope, ghosts. That's all. That's all I'm gonna.
The name of the movie is Spirits Within.
Yeah, but that's what's so awesome about it, because you think it's an alien movie. No, it's a ghost. It's an asteroid that's haunted by ghosts. Yeah.
I am so entirely sold by this. Holy cow. It's an asteroid haunted by ghosts?
That crashes into Earth, and the whole Earth is now haunted by spirits within.
Moon's haunted.
Yep. So it's a great movie. I mean, it's weird. It's weird, but it's a great movie. But all of that is to say that Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering cards, Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering cards will be available at your local microcenter. So stay tuned, because you can get your hands on those. And the other news that we want to say about that is that there's actually a lot more happening in the collectibles realm at Microcenter. Stay tuned. We're going to have some surprises for you. So I think you guys are going to be really excited about that one.
I am scared how many more things you guys are going to need me to be like, all right, can you explain the lore of this to us? And I'm going to have to be like, listen, I'm not involved with this, but I can tell you the lore anyway.
Did you ever think that that would be part of your job description?
Explaining magic lore. So at the beginning, there were planeswalkers, and we need to talk about Dominaria and how that led off to the Weatherlight archives, or the Stormlight Weatherlight? Stormlight.
You're asking
Are you
Jacob?
talking about Brando Sando?
Brando Sando has one of them, but there's like a Stormlight.
The Stormlight Archive.
And then the Weatherlight was
It's a book
ship
series.
You
from
know what he's talking
Dominaria.
about?
I know. I've read the entirety of the Cosmere from
Oh.
Brandon Sanderson. So yeah, I know it.
Okay, there you go.
It's like 20 really big books.
Okay, yeah, in my defense, Dominaria, there's a ship called the Weatherlight.
Okay.
So I'm not losing... Just
Remember-
the way you're like, I don't care, man. Okay, you were right. Good job.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine.
Just remember, this is a podcast for a store. So, wait, one last question, though. What's the name of the movie where the spaceship is haunted by ghosts?
Isn't that the Final Fantasy thing? Oh no, that's the
No.
planet.
No. Where it goes in a different dimension, comes back, has Sam Neill. You know the movie I'm talking about. Why can't I remember the name? It's escaping me. Anyway, is that canon to Warhammer 40K? So, I've heard it is.
I don't know. Hang on. What?
You don't know what I'm talking
I
about?
assume he goes in the warp and...
Yeah.
I don't play Warhammer. I want to be clear before I say anything going forward. I assume that he goes into the warp and pulls out stuff from like the demons.
Event Horizon.
I was gonna say Event
So,
Horizon. That's
Event-
canon to 40K.
So I don't think it's officially canon, but people say that it's very similar to like what is described as the warp in 40K.
Yeah.
And it says there's no official connection between the two, but many Warhammer 40K fans, including myself, according to this Quora answer from 5 years ago, think of Event Horizon as a lost beginning to Warhammer 40K. Because it's basically the warp. The ship goes through another dimension, and the dimension is heck. And,
which is the warp. Yeah.
And spooky things happen. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. So Warhammer themed PC build sounds like it's on the table. Event Horizon themed PC build. Maybe we'll do.
Warhammer does have some pretty sick like weapons and motifs and everything that I think would work really, really well. Like there's there's some cool stuff.
So I've never played Warhammer. I've done StarCraft, which I feel like it is baby's first Warhammer.
I have not. My one experience with StarCraft was trying to get somebody to teach me it, and then they got bored and Zerg rushed me, and I said, "Never mind, I'm not playing this with you."
That's all it takes. One bad experience, just like Final Fantasy VII. Just one bad experience. It's like I'm never touching this franchise.
I had my buddy in the other room, and I had my buddy with me who was trying to explain to me, like, "Okay, well now you need to build these resources, and now you need to build this," and then like my buddy was like a grandmaster for a little bit, and it was just like I got bored, so I Zerg rushed you. I'm like, I didn't know what I was doing. The point of this was for you not to attack me.
Yeah, he got bored.
Yeah.
That's okay. It happens to the best of us.
Just sometimes you just get bored and,
just
ruin your friend's day.
Your friends for no reason. Yeah.
So speaking of getting bored.
I thought you were about to say, speaking of attacking your friends.
Well, that too. I was trying really hard to segue us back on track.
Yeah.
We just did a fun project here in the studio, actually. It's not really a good segue. But we did a project here in the studio where we redid all of our networking with Ubiquity.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Pretty easy, actually. The hardest part was cleaning up the rat's nest of cables that was our current network, or our, at the time, current networking setup.
Yeah, so everything here in the studio has been very piecemeal, right? Like we build something, we set something up, and then we sort of build on it until it reaches a point of like, okay, maybe we need to like redo this and like do it, better.
Yeah, maybe there's a better way to do these things with one tool instead of a couple of dozen tools.
Well, because we had one router we needed, and then we added a switch, then we added a different switch, and we added a different switch for a different thing, and it got out of hand really fast. What's this for?
Hey, we added a switch.
Oh yeah, and we added a switch. And
what's this for?
I forgot it was called a switch. I still think it looks like a Steam Deck to me. Like it just looks like Steam Deck Slim.
I would buy one of those.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just mobile Bethesda game simulators anyway, right? Like, that's basically what a Steam Deck is. So for Ubiquity, we redid all of our networking. We redid all of our network attached storages. We redid everything in the virtual store, because we do have a virtual store that is currently under construction, but it's actually part of our studio. It's a microcenter, but it's not a microcenter. It looks like a microcenter. But we use that for testing products and displays and things, and we're also using it for content. And
the most
once it's all
exclusive
set up.
microcenter.
The most exclusive microcenter to
So
ever
exclusive
exist.
you can't buy from it. Not even us.
Yeah, pretty much. But we have those 3D printers on display, so we wanted to get them on the network.
Yeah.
And they were in a dead zone, that's why. Because they were all the way out there.
That was the whole reason for the video, is we wanted to 3D print stuff here.
Yeah, because like I would have to take the SD card, take it out of the 3D printer, walk all the way back over to my PC, plug it in, like export the slice files, walk all the way back. And then if I wanted to switch to a different one, I had to take a different SD card. And I didn't want to mix up it was getting out of control. So I was like, let's just...
Sorry, I'm playing the world's smallest violin for you. Just
Well, at least I got my steps in, right?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, we redid our full network infrastructure, but this is just a stopgap because we're actually going to go further.
I would call this more of a Band-Aid. This is a great solution for like a home, the mesh Wi-Fi, but this area is super big. So
I would say even a small business.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like you guys are teasing me a little bit here. What did you do to the studio to improve the Wi-Fi? Because we're kind of talking around it.
We switched out the router for a Express 7, which is a gateway and Wi-Fi module.
Okay.
But we also have two U6 meshes, which is like it's a cylinder about this big, but you don't actually have to wire it to your network in order for it to basically... This isn't what's happening, but it's easier. It'll repeat the Wi-Fi.
Okay,
so you can have Wi-Fi further away from your initial router.
Right.
And the cool thing is, you can get all kinds of mesh solutions at Microcenter. We have all kinds of like routers and things. But the
Yeah.
cool thing about Ubiquity that's so neat is that the way we scaled it and implemented it, we have like a 10 gig switch for all of our throughput for all the computers wired here. So those are attached to like the network attached storage. So we get like full throughput for those.
Yeah, for the video editing NAS.
Yeah, and the topology that you showed me of all the devices and the back end of it is really cool. We did a video showing what the back end looks like, how you can control it. He made me a custom DNS for accessing the NAS. So instead of putting the IP address, I just type in, what is it, like studio?
Fastnas.studio.
Fastnas.studio now takes me, if I'm on the network, to that NAS so I can access the files.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, oh, what was it, 192.16, whatever?
Yeah,
like,
you could just, whatever it is, .studio. And
it's all kinds of cool tricks that we did to sort of like really get our network in here really awesome. And the other thing was that Unify has this really cool tool that you can, we took the blueprints of the whole space, like the whole building that we operate out of here. And we were able to map out what the walls are, like the materials of the walls. So you can see the Wi-Fi signal in real time. So we found out where the best spots were to put the meshes.
Oh, yeah. So we could get Wi-Fi all the way over to his office, which is like 100 yards that way.
Yeah.
It's pretty far.
Yeah,
I was able to access on this laptop remotely all of the different files that we had that are all the way over here, and just through Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Like just the software on the back end, like it feels so. As someone who is not really great with networking, like obviously you're our networking guy. I don't really know what I'm doing, but that sounds like something that like even I could get out here and be like, all right, well, this is a brick wall here, and it says I should put my thing here. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. It makes administration for your Wi-Fi network so much easier.
Yeah. Because it's always so daunting going into like any one of those router backends and being like, I don't know what any of this does.
Yeah, because some manufacturers call some things one thing, and then some call it another, and then you don't know where those tools are on each router. Yeah. It's kind of a pain, but with this, there's just one portal for everything. If you have cameras, that's on that. If you have IP phones, it's on there. It's so much easier.
And so think about it like this way, right? I mean, for home use, it's pretty cool. Like it's pretty high end stuff for home use, but for home use, it's really awesome. But like, if you're doing enterprise level stuff, Ubiquity is pretty good, but like a lot of IT guys are kind of used to command line things when it comes to networking. This is their GUI for Ubiquity is like so user friendly.
Yeah.
Because like just like you, like I'm not really a networking guy. Like I remember when I told you that I figured out how to forward one of my ports so I could play Valheim with my friends, which I probably did wrong, but whatever.
Got to figure out how to get you to stop doing that.
Yeah, I'll fix it. Just don't guess my IP address. That's all. But like the GUI is really simple.
Yeah.
And like implementation is really simple because I've owned other routers where you kind of have to go into the admin settings and like you just get this like half-baked web page of like things and you don't know what they are.
Really quick, GUI, you're referring to the graphical user interface, the GUI?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
cool.
I'm just saying that it's really GUI on the inside.
Okay.
Like a Pop-Tart. Or
this technology, this silicon's really gooey.
Oh.
Yeah. Don't chew on that. Yeah, the graphical
That's
user.
why I got kicked out of the store.
Just sit there and gnaw on some silicon.
The graphical user interface. When we say GUI, that's what we mean.
Yeah.
But like, it's really like easy to use.
Yeah.
They have images for everything. So like it identifies what your device is on the network and it already has like thumbnail images for it.
Oh, that's really nice.
That's like one of those really niche like quality of life features that like if you're an IT admin, it's like who cares? But like if you're someone like me where it's like, oh, that's my Windows computer. Oh, that's my wife's Mac computer.
Yeah.
It even showed Linux computers.
Yeah.
It registered all of our PTZ cameras. It knew what our network attached storage systems were by brand.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And actually, on the Synology, I think it pulled up the right, like they have a bunch of different Synology icons, and it pulled up the correct icon for that NAS.
Wow. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like, I know when I've had to go into, you have a day where your internet's just really slow, and you check your back end, you're like, okay, maybe there's something somewhere downloading something, and then you look at your list of like attached devices, and number one, there's 30 things on there because you've got 4 game consoles, 2 computers, yada yada yada. And you look at it and you're like, I don't really know what any of these are. And aside from going over there and basically like turning them off one by one and being like, okay, so that IP was this one, it can be really annoying to figure out.
Yeah. One of my favorite features for this, though, I don't think we'll be using it, but if you are a small or medium-sized business, you know, when you're like in a coffee shop and you like get on the Wi-Fi, there's like a form to fill out to make sure that you're like following the rules. You can do that easily. It's like 3 button clicks.
Oh, really?
It's super easy to do. Yeah.
Kind of, maybe we should set that up in here.
Yeah, just like a guest network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way, if we have people from somebody else's company come over, we can make sure they have Wi-Fi without them having access to all of our NAS stuff.
And next time the rest of the team comes over, we just shove them on the guest network. And, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go.
Yeah.
Why would they need...
And we make sure that we have a little note on it that says, hello, rest of the team, you get the guest network.
Great job, nerds.
It's exactly the same as the regular network. Just says guest. That's the only distinction. But when you think about, you know, I know it's weird to get excited about networking, but like when you have as many things as we do,
that weird,
and you have to. I mean, some people really love networking. I get it. When you have as many devices as we do, like in this room alone, like first of all, we had 3 laptops on the desk. We have 1 computer over there. We have 3 PTZ cameras running. Mm-hmm. All of this is on the network too. This is all controlled. All these lights are controlled on the network. Everything that we're using, we have so many network controlled devices. Mm-hmm. Is there a module for our Nanlite lights to work on the network?
I
wonder if they make a thing.
No, because I know that the NAN lights are Bluetooth.
But they have... So there's a Bluetooth mode and a 2.4 gigahertz mode, but I don't know what that means. I
think that's you have to connect that to one of their like proprietary pucks or whatever. It's like a controller, and then that connects to the Wi-Fi. Because if we can get those on the Wi-Fi, I want to see if we can get them into Home Assistant. That way, when we press the button over there to turn the cameras on, it'll turn on those lights. It'll turn on that. It'll turn on the lights.
So when it comes to home automation, that's why networking is actually really exciting.
Yeah,
and especially like. You know, we set up, how many PCs do we build a month? We build like,
oh my God,
several. We build
5,
roughly 1 or 2.
So transferring games, first of all, we do over the network, which is like, I would say the second best way, aside from doing backups on an SSD, because that's the fastest way to transfer them.
Yeah, just an external
backup on an SSD. But the second fastest way is over the network, because when I do it that way, I get the full bandwidth of whatever. I think. In that room, we just have a gigabit switch. Yeah. But I end up getting the full bandwidth of that gigabit.
Yeah, 113 megabytes, baby. Let's go.
Which is like pretty, it's a 120 gigabyte game, but that makes it way faster than downloading it from the internet again.
Oh, yeah. I all my games at home that I'm not currently playing, they're on my NAS because I'd rather do that, even at gigabit speed, than download them again.
Right.
Yeah.
So, networking, pretty exciting stuff. Obviously, Ubiquity, you can get it at your local microcenter. If you stop by the Miami store or the new Santa Clara store, you can check out our really awesome Ubiquity displays.
Those heaven.
So cool.
They have, what is it? The Dream Machines, the NVRs. They have the their own NAS solution there
they also had amps, which I didn't even know they made. It's an amp for your speaker systems.
Oh, really?
It's really cool. Yeah, it's got a knob on the front, and they have 2 that are rack mounted in that rack, which is really cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because I think they own a stadium, or their owner owns a stadium, or they have a partnership with a stadium or something where they do the full network solution for, I forget who it is, but it's some famous basketball, maybe. I can Google it, but
yeah, I don't really know.
This is a sports podcast. Can you tell?
Yeah. So again, about Warhammer.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the sports ball. That's why I know so much.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I do think though, the amps and stuff like that, because you and I were talking a little bit about what use cases for those there could be, and I am gonna speak pretty openly about saying that I don't fully know what goes into all of this, but I do have friends who have worked into stuff like DIY music spaces and DIY art exhibits and stuff like that. Where I know I have a friend on Facebook who would just basically put up a bunch of CRT TVs and turn it into a whole art exhibit.
Oh, that's super
something
cool.
Like that, where you have a unifying receiver basically to control all that. Something like Ubiquity could really work.
I haven't looked into that specific product a whole lot since then, but I think that it's for businesses to have music playing over their in ceiling speakers, or if you have in ceiling speakers in your house, you can have different zones, each with their own amp, and you can move your music from room to room.
If you have the VoIP
Yeah.
The phones go onto the speaker system in the store. That's why, because you want it all unified and
That makes
connected.
sense. Yeah.
Because then you pick up a phone, you dial, star 123, and it's like, paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a telephone call.
Do that.
You don't know that
Interesting.
reference, do you? No.
I assume Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman, yes. Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Never seen it.
Oh, come on, it's a classic.
I didn't think it was that adventurous, but
He went all over the place.
just kidding.
He had to get his bike back. Anyway, stop by Micro Center, check out all the Ubiquity stuff, and we're going to be doing a lot
It's
more
good
content on it. The next thing that we have to do is we have to figure out how to get a scissor lift so we can do the wire runs through the building.
Yeah, we're going to have to pick up a whole roll of Cat 6A to do that. We don't sell patch cables that long.
Yes, we do.
What?
We sell the cables. We sell the 500-foot cables.
Those are already have ends on them?
Oh, we might have to crimp it ourselves.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
But we do sell those giant
Yes,
rolls.
that's what I was saying. It's not a patch cable until you have the ends crimped on.
Well, then we're gonna patch them. You're gonna have
I
to
love
teach.
networking.
You're gonna have to teach us how, because that'll be a good video too.
Actually, yeah.
Because then how to wire up your own Ethernet, because it's the same thing if you're doing it for your home or for wherever. Like, get the bulk big rolls, which we have at Micro Center, by the way. That's something that's kind of new, actually. We rolled out all of this big networking stuff. But check that out, and that's what we're going to be using. And you and I have to figure out how we're going to get all the way up there,
I like how you're saying we with your full chest. I'll crimp them.
because we're doing a video, so we have to do the work, clearly.
I am terrified of heights, so let's see how that goes.
Fine, I'll be up there, and you can just direct me from the floor. Oh, you know what we can do? We have the Meta glasses. I can just stream what I'm seeing, and you can just
Do it
look
like
at
a
it.
private Instagram account or something.
Yeah, and you can just watch, and then they'll be like, "Over to your left." No, your other left. Like,
Or you get our videographer to just sit on your shoulders with a camera the entire time.
Yeah.
if I have to be up there, Kevin has to be up there too. Those
Yeah,
are the rules.
how else are we going to film it?
So anyway, lots of cool things at Micro Center. Obviously, new store, new stuff. I'm very excited to take this for a test drive. Very
New Magic
excited.
set?
Yeah, and the Magic set. That's actually a big one too.
Yeah.
Very excited to take that for a test drive too. Actually, that Switch too.
Yeah.
When my son is old enough, I'm definitely thinking that's going to be something he's going to want.
Yeah.
I did let him play Minecraft on my phone once.
Interesting.
He picked that up way too fast.
Yeah.
Way faster than I thought he would. He's turning 4 soon, and I just thought he would just be kind of like looking around and not doing much. Oh, no, no. He figured it out. He found a village. Like, he figured it out real fast.
Oh, no, he's better at Minecraft than I am.
He picked that up real quick. So I think Nintendo Switch is in the near-ish future for him.
Yeah.
Maybe when he's closer to like
Maybe
7.
Maybe a Switch 1.
Oh, yeah. Because those are, because you can get like an OLED now for a pretty good price. Or even just like what's the Switch where the Joy-Cons don't come off?
The Switch Lite.
Switch
Yeah.
Lite,
Yeah.
because that just runs the same games anyway, right?
Yeah.
I haven't owned a Nintendo system since the Game Boy Advance.
Please don't ask me how many Nintendo systems I currently own. Please don't.
I think it's easier to ask, which Nintendo system do you not own?
NES and SNES.
That's
Do
right.
you have a virtual?
Yeah, I was about to say he does have a Virtual Boy.
I do have a Virtual Boy. Yes, correct.
Oh, I did buy.
How are those migraines? No.
It does not work.
Oh, okay.
It worked for all of about 10 minutes. Where I had one eye started to go out on me, basically, and which made the nausea and migraines even worse than were already happening because it's the Virtual Boy. And then the whole eye basically did that thing where, the old TVs when they get kind of drippy looking. It did that, and I have not had I've looked into how to repair it. It seems like more than likely there is a loose ribbon cable that was like glued in back when, but this came out in like 98, 2001. I don't remember when the Virtual Boy came out.
Earlier. I thought it was like 96.
Yeah, I thought it was like mid-90s.
Well, no, it was a panic response to the N64 getting delayed. Actually, they needed something to fill the gap in between the SNES and the N64, and the Virtual Boy was not really done. But they're like,
1995.
we're just punting it out. I did not realize it was that early. Holy cow!
Yeah, no, I remember it's old.
Yeah.
So we have to compare Virtual Boy versus an Oculus.
I wonder which one has better technology.
I'm very curious. Let's see.
So what I'm hearing is Virtual Boy tour of the next store.
How? How would we?
Is there a camera
No,
for
there's
that?
not a
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, but you know what? We are absolutely going to have you in the store with the thing, just like wearing a Virtual Boy in the next store that we open.
Oh my gosh.
Just standing at
tuned.
the knowledge bar.
just
What's
a
that guy
huge
doing?
bottle of migraine medicine next to you.
Yeah, I thought I
Pop
got
'em like
motion
Tic
sickness
Tacs.
before. I'm really going to get motion sickness after.
It's bad. It's rough.
Well, anyway, stop by your local Micro Center.
We don't have Virtual Boys.
Not yet. We might bring
Why
it
are you
back.
saying yet?
You never know. Sometimes someone might find a warehouse full of them, and it's like,
Did you see that somebody bought a brand new Wii U like a year ago, by the way?
from us?
No, but just like online, somebody apparently, like, there was a documented sale of a Wii U in 2021 or like 2022 or something like that, because like somebody just tracked the sales, and clearly it was just in somebody's like warehouse somewhere that I'm sure was discounted for like $50. Somebody walked in and was like, oh, hey, there's a brand new Wii U. I'm going to buy this. It wasn't me, but it would be me if I found that. I want to be clear.
New in the box. Oh my God, that's so
That's
funny.
awesome.
So you never know.
You never know. That's right. So I hope you guys had fun. I think we had fun. Remember to stop by your
Definitely.
local Micro Center, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.